It's Tuesday, March 31st. This is Scouting League, and today I likely upset some people who have never been in a building and get so offended when they are called top 30 visits. Well, that's what most teams, agents, and people in the scouting industry call them, so I am sticking with it. We talk all things top 30 visit today here, but first, make sure you head over, like, subscribe, share this podcast wherever you are listening and watching. Click those buttons. That subscribe one, wherever you are at, is the big one that really helps us out. Let us know you're listening by subscribing, and make sure you're commenting everywhere where you can. rsafootball.com is my website. At RightStepADV on Twitter is where you can find me. I am Rodrik David, former NFL scout. Spent time with the Titans and Falcons in both pro and scouting roles. I've been a part of top 30 visits multiple times, and on the outside, still prepping guys for their top 30 visits as we get through this draft cycle. Make sure if you're an aspiring scout, you check out thescoutingcommunity.com. Get signed up, get all the resources you need to chase those dreams as an NFL scout, answer the questions that you don't know where else to get the answers to. And make sure you check out our partners over at bluemaca.com. Use code SCOUTING20 to let them know we sent you. Get those insoles that will upgrade every pair of shoes you have. Yep, it's just a pair of shoes until you put those Blue Maca insoles in there. It will upgrade them with that non-slip surface, with that recovery insole, whatever it is, they will upgrade your shoes. bluemaca.com. Use code SCOUTING20. With the draft coming up, guests on the Blindside Blitz this week. I'm happy to join the guys. Make sure you check that one out where we talk all things 2026 NFL Draft. Dane Brugler is scheduled. Looking forward to that one. I would imagine at least one more session with Jordan Reed of ESPN as well as we get closer to the draft, and we talk all things players and process of the draft. April draft meetings, top players on both sides of the ball. So much to talk about. Again, we are counting the days nearly into April and getting to Thursday night, round one of the NFL draft. With pro days wrapping up, teams really transitioning to their final meetings. One of the big things that happen now are those top 30 visits. Yes, there are those out there that rail against adding the top 30 vids. But again, that's what we called them in Tennessee. That's what we called them in Atlanta. What agents across the NFL are calling them as I am having meetings with these players. Again, multiple texts. Hey, can you prep my guy for his top 30 visit with whatever NFL team it is? Again, top 30 visits that we're calling them now. No, it doesn't mean every team is bringing in their top 30 players on their board. It means you get 30 visits with players in the building, and here there may be 40, 50, 60 guys we want to bring in. These are the top 30 that we pick. Again, it's a name that started with top 30. It's going to continue to top 30, mostly because I don't want to give those outside that just want to rail against all things that NFL scouts actually do any satisfaction. So I'm calling them top 30 visits. Again, it's just 30 players, the top 30 players that we need to have in the building. These are quick visits, usually an evening and a half a day, fast-paced, usually at least 2 to 3 coaches, 2 to 3 people on the personnel side. You've got strength staff, you've got trainers, player development, maybe somebody from the security team, and perhaps even a psychologist. So the first question you have to ask, why is a player chosen for a top 30 visit? Again, most often these players, again, one of the big things is you have a question that you want answered. Again, I talk about it all the time. The scouting process is answering questions, asking questions, getting questions answered, figuring out what questions do we still need to ask that we then need to get answered. Again, you want to have everything answered come draft night, really come middle of April. You'd like to have everything answered. Getting question answered is a part of it. Is it board work? Again, one of the things that gets lost in the long process from the end of the season, all-star games, combine, pro days, is how good does this player really understand ball? There's a lot of things they can do to make it appear they know ball, but again, you get in a building with a coach who knows it better than about anybody, get them up on the board, get them talking, get them thinking about scenarios. You can really get a sense for who knows ball, who is good on the board, who can handle a marker, who can talk schematically. So board work is a huge part of it that happens at top 30 vids. It's really a good idea. Football IQ, what kind of learning curve, what kind of learning are they going to do when they're in our building? Again, another one is comfort level. If there is maybe a question about personality, question about fit in the city, about the way they would fit your culture, again, great opportunity to get that player in there. Guys, get in their comfort zone, get out of their comfort zone, find out who are guys that we want in our building. Again, you want to see that interaction with everybody in the building. I have seen it from all aspects. Guys that are extremely shy, don't want to talk to anybody. They are nervous about being there. And then you got the big personalities talking to everybody, really going to fit in naturally. Again, you get the full run of it. It got lots and lots of reasons. You can find a reason to get a player in there. If they have a question somewhere in their background, the scout has a question, director, coach, whoever it is, getting questions answered right from the source at Top 30 Visits is always a big one. One of the things that also can happen is when you start thinking about team needs, or maybe a position where we've got 3 guys we really like at the same spot. Maybe we'll go 3 inside linebackers. We got about the same grade on them. Again, from these 3 or 4 scouts, we really got really a cluster of grades right here. Let's start thinking about who do we like the most. We think 1, 2, maybe all 3 of them could be on the board at this pick where we're thinking about taking this player. We need to decide who we like out of these 3 players. Let's bring them in together. Let's see how they interact. Let's get to know them better. Let's use this top 30 opportunity to split this stack, to get them ordered 1, 2, and 3. Who do we like the most? If that player's on the board, we're going to be ready to take them. Splitting a stack is a great way to do it. One of the other big ways that teams do it, again, recruiting. This is about those late day 3 to undrafted free agent guys who don't think we would draft. We love the player. We love the profile. We love so much about them. We just don't think they're quite a top 250 player come NFL draft. Let's get them in the building and start recruiting them. Let's love them up. Let's get them in the building. Let's talk about this process. It's a nod to the agent to let them know how serious we are about this player. Again, the agent, he's going to be fielding calls probably for multiple teams. Yeah, we think he's a 6th, 7th round grade, but he could go undrafted depending on the way everything falls. Again, maybe we're a team that doesn't have a 7th round pick. Again, we traded him away last year. As we're sitting now, we don't have him. Let's get that guy in the building. Let's love him up. Let's do everything we can to where when round 7 is finished up on Saturday, we can get this guy in our building, kind of that extra draft pick, that undrafted priority free agent that, hey, we think you got a shot to make it on our 53-man roster come the end of training camp. Let's do some recruiting. Let's get him in there. Let's love him up, and let's go through the process. Again, one of the top 30 things that always happens, you get a few red herrings out there. There are always some guys that teams want to throw you off the trail, whether you don't bring them in among a group of guys that you bring everybody else in his position, or vice versa. You bring in a guy in who you really have no interest, no idea that you're going to draft them. But again, they are part of the, maybe it's at a position at a time in the draft where if a team thinks that you were going to draft that guy, maybe they make different decisions in front of you. Not overly common. Again, you don't want to waste a ton of these top 30 visits. Again, usually you're using 25 to 30 of them. Not a ton of teams don't use all of them. It does happen, certainly. But again, using that red herring certainly can happen. Medical checks, again, rechecks, always in play here. Usually one of the results of something that happens at the combine. Teams need to get more hands-on, get an additional set of hands-on, get a doctor, get another check done. Again, medical checks at top 30 visits, always going to happen, always part of the process. Again, always something's going to happen. Top 30 visits are outstanding opportunities for players, both from the time they hit the ground at the airport, when they drive their car to the building, to the facility. They are being evaluated. One of the great stories I've talked about here on this podcast before, what we call the queso story. Again, 2 linebackers are coming in for a visit in Atlanta. Me, my fellow scouting assistant and legend of the game, James Bodenheimer, pick up these 2 players at the airport. In the evening, it was standard practice. We're going to stop. Again, this is going to be scouting assistants, players, having dinner somewhere before we get them to the hotel. Let's cut it up. Well, we stop at a small little Mexican joint where, again, queso was on the menu. One of the 2 linebackers had a weight question. We were concerned that the size in our Dan Quinn run and chase linebacker sim, he might be a little bit big. There were questions, how big had he gotten during the season? I'm not going to tell you the school because it might give it away. But again, weight was a question. Well, here we get 2 players sitting down, getting some chips, some queso. Well, again, when I tell you that this player was drinking queso directly from the cup is not an exaggeration. It's one thing to dip a burrito, to dip some chips, to have some queso with your meal. It's a different thing to have a dedicated cup where you're kind of sipping on it as part of your little entree. Let's just say when that player got into the facility the next day, the weight was a question. Again, this player chose to step on the scale. The weight was a little bit high. Didn't quite have a great answer, but I can tell you, we were asked about that meal as scouting assistants. We told the truth. We talked about the queso incidents. Let's just say we didn't draft this player in the NFL who had a solid NFL career. The weight questions didn't leave him. So again, the number one principle for any player, any agent out there for top 30 visits, you're being evaluated all the time. From the time you land at the airport, whether it's a driving service, whether it's a scouting assistant, scout, whoever picks you up, you are being evaluated. Some of the things that I heard players say, the way they interacted, again, it ends up in your report. Top 30 visits, just like everything else you're doing on the field, is being evaluated. So make sure you are on your P's and Q's from the moment you step foot in that NFL setting. So look deeper. Think deeper about these top 30 visits your team has lined up as you see them. Let me know why you think they're happening. At Right Step ADV is where you can drop those comments. Hey, if you want to guess the player in the queso story, hit that in the comments as well. I will let you know, maybe a thumbs up, thumbs down if you're right or you are wrong. At Right Step ADV is where you can find all that. Top players, April meetings, UDFA, and more in the coming weeks. Football never sleeps, and scouts never stop scouting.